is you ask a person, what is it that you would like to change? And like one of the things was a park in Oakland. And they said, well, this park is the people's park. So they organized all the people to occupy that park until they got what they wanted. And it's similar to some of the things that y'all doing now. And it's really, really pretty. Oh, there was. Well, I'm a former
Mic
member of
check.
the Black Panther Party.
Repeat the question.
I'm a former member of the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party went out of existence in 1976, 1977. Now there are other younger people, the next generation, which is these, younger brothers coming up, the Black Riders Liberation Party and other groups, the New Black Panther Party, that are trying to step in that area. And everybody is a learning and a growing process. You know. You want to sit, big brother? Well, I'm done. Anybody have any more questions?
I just want to say that things really have come a long way because I was in junior college when Black Panthers.
Can you speak up?
Please speak up.
You want to do the mic, people's mic?
No. Okay, I have noticed that things have improved a lot because I was. I'm older than you,
No,
but
you're not older than me, though.
I'm older than everybody.
How old are you?
63.
You're not older.
See that real?
I noticed that the enormous change, and Black Panthers had so much to do with that. Um, I was at LACC, and there was a huge presence from the Black Panthers, speakers all the time, and just the racism part has mellowed out so much. I really noticed a huge difference over the years because the remarks I used to get, I don't get them anymore.
Well, I'm trying to gauge what you're saying.
Well, I'm
In
just
one
trying to
respect,
feel a difference
in one
in
respect,
the intensity of the racism.
in one respect, there has been a lot of change. And one of the things that there's been a lot of change in the Occupy movement, pointing out the 1%, people have been beginning to focus on the class nature of the struggle, and in terms of the change, I saw the change when they had the Rodney King thing in L.A. When they had the Rodney King in L.A., it was all different types of people. It was a melting pot of people who were doing things, not just black people. So the change has been gradual. But I do have to emphasize this: there's not much change when people like Oscar Grant can be killed and murdered on a video, and the whole world see it, and people are not doing anything about it. That in that terms of them not respecting and having any respect for life, that hasn't changed. But there has been a lot of change.
I was within 1 mile of the what's his name, Reginald Denny, where he got wasted, and that whole family is really dissipated. I feel very much a part of the community there. I've been there for 7 years. That couldn't have happened.
Well, I just saw a program. I'm gonna stop after this brother asked this question. I just saw a program, and it's always been my understanding that racism, the two victims of racism, African Americans and poor whites. And people in this country don't understand that there's very little difference between the conditions in Eastern Kentucky and Eastern Tennessee and Appalachia than there is in African American community. Go ahead.
What advice would you give, like the young people part of like the Occupy movement, when it comes up to combating with the oppression that we are getting from the police officers? A lot of us recently, some of us were like recently in Oakland, and our perception has changed in a lot of ways. And the idea of like nonviolence and what that actually means. And for me personally, I would like to know like what is a way for us. Like, what advice would you give us, like, that's actually dealing with, like, the cops, like, shooting our friends, like, right there in front of us?
Well, in terms, anytime you're doing a massive demonstration, you always have to keep that balance, non-violent. and I'm not going to even talk about violence to a large group of
But
people.
from a defensive
But I'm just saying,
protection,
what
like
what
shields.
you have to, the most important thing is how well you organize, and how well you organize the demonstration, and making sure that like he was talking about, make sure you have somebody watching those people that are doing these things. And I remember as a child I saw something that the Japanese did when Eisenhower wanted to visit Japan, and they protested for like weeks and weeks. They had what they call a snake line, and what the snake line does, it there's no way that they can brutalize everybody because the line is constantly moving. If you provide a solid line for the police to hit, they're just going to come in and bust heads. But when you have the snake line and the snake line moving and you have thousands of people, it's impossible for them to defend that. And that's, but you just have to be very careful about what you're doing and be very careful about what you choose to do and make sure that you don't put people in jeopardy. Because that's one of the things that they'll try to do to discourage people is to brutalize people. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I had a question actually for the General Assembly because it went by fairly quickly. I'm wondering, is everybody here familiar with COINTELPRO and know that history or not? People who don't? Are there people who want to hear more about that? Or
Well, basically, the COINTEL program is the program that was used to assassinate Martin Luther King. What it specifically said was that they wanted to prevent the rise of a black messiah who could unify the black liberation movement. And that's one of the reasons why Malcolm X was murdered in 1965, why Martin Luther King was murdered in April of 1968, and why Fred Hampton was assassinated in December of 1969. And I think there was another brother in Houston named Carl Hampton who was killed in 1970. But then there were other leaders, George Jackson, other leaders of the Black Panther Party that were murdered or who responded. See, because it's my contention that when Jonathan Jackson walked into the courthouse in Marion County, that he was responding to the acts of brutality that had been happening. That is, it was a response to the COINTEL program, because people did things in response to their relatives being murdered and killed. This brother had something to say.
One thing I say this Black History Month, and I'm not trying to sway from the subject, but it's just like the first airmen, the Tuskegee Airmen, in Alabama. They was the first black men that fought in the aviators air fight. And that was just a program just to see if black people could fly planes. So they said that they didn't have no way of powering a machine like that, and it was a project. But lo and behold, they took out Germany in World War One, and they have been left untold with that. So that's what I would like to say. Now, it's for right now. What I will advise Occupation LA is to come together in unity as the new generation Black Panthers, aka Black Riders, which we give honor to the senior Panthers that opened the door for us. Today we holding openings and we're recruiting people. We're going back out in future moments. We got appointments for daycares, open up daycares for after school centers. We teach martial arts and we teach a lot of the history and stuff. And to touch on it, you have to know the history in order to succumb and take over your future. If you don't know what happened, then you can't know what you're standing for. And right now, we as Black Riders are out here to support Occupation LA because right now it's a massive unity right now. And we also stand against police brutality. To answer your question, Panthers also got this thing called Watch Your Pay program. In our community in LA, we have people that sit out at night that do watch police carry out their job. But it takes the people in the community to help now also, because that was the main problem. The people did not come together as one. There is no all black power, no all brown power, but it's all power to the people. And in order for us to get that, we have to unify. To answer your question, brother, make sure that the people know the system. As us being young, we don't never study nothing about the police, but yet we get messed up on it. There's some form of equalization. See what I'm saying? When you take their numbers and you watch them and you put up a vote against them, you can't be scared because if it takes one, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. But if it's two or three and you're gonna stand on it, it'll work. I came from Brooklyn, New York, a year ago. I didn't know nothing about riding a bike in a bike light, okay? So cops jumped out on me and tore me out the frame with my step son, okay? Now, when they see me push forward and they see me, I had to call all the way back home because no lawyers up here would work. But thank God for the traffic lights, see what I'm saying? I had a almost broke wrist and they beat me because I had a bike and I was pedaling on a bike, not a motorbike, mind you. So I'm living proof. Because see now what they do is they try to break it down to another low charge, you know what I'm saying? They're charging some misdemeanors, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you have people watching you back and taking notes, you know, and remember to come together in unity and push what you're doing. Have explanations where people understand what you're doing, you know, because while the while the occupation A was going on over here, it was going on back at home, and they massively hurt home. Okay, they massively took out Oakland. You see what I'm saying? They
Right.
beat down Oakland
Yeah.
because this is where it all started from. It all started from Oakland. See what I'm saying? So they trying to keep that head down before it melts down and comes down. See that? So we got to get back on the roots. That's all where it come from. All power to the people. And the last thing I quote, do your homework on J. Edgar Hoover because he invented the justice program. He invented the library program. He invented everything for the COINTEL, okay? His destruction was this. He said this, a panther is born every day. It doesn't matter whether you're brown or whether you're black. One is born every 5 minutes. So his main thing was to make sure that he counteract all the senior panthers so it wouldn't fall to us. But so I say once again, get back on Huey P. Newton, get back on what the Panthers was really about. It was really about fighting with the community, and that's what they did not like. Because you know you got dirty cops today still. How many people get stopped every day just for walking, just because, and they don't have no problem. They could do it all just because they got a badge. But once you start putting that badge back to them and start putting that law back to them, that's when they fear you. When you start giving them law back, they will fear you now. You know, right now, we allowed what we can do. 16 feet back, we can observe. But yet they'll tell you, get out of here, and we'll move. If we stand strong and see what they're doing, they'll see that we fighting back. But with unity and with learning and doing it a political way. All power to the people.